Hello, Eagles. School is in full swing, and so are we. I'm Jerem.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. This week we look at the school dress code, skating at Two Trails Park, and the controversy over a murdered girl, all this week on your Eagles Perch.
Tragedy has turned into political conflict with Molly Tibbetts' murder. Jasmine and Shania bring us more on this sad story.
Recently, there's been a murder involving a 25-year-old immigrant and a 20-year-old girl named Molly Tibbetts. This murder has started controversy since the murderer was an immigrant. Recently, we went around asking students of Olathe North about their opinion on Molly Tibbetts' murder.
Of course, I feel safe in my community.
Why?
Because our community is a safe community that nothing actually ever happens. There's no real big news in it.
No, because it's how do you accidentally stab someone?
This is Jasmine with E! News signing out. On a different note, we all like to be noticed in our outfits we choose every day for school, tell a lot about our personalities. Then the dreaded dress code hits and really messes with our style. Recently, Jerem and Josiah sat down with Mr. Herman to get the skinny on our skinny jeans.
Controversial topic for years, but we've had the answers right here all along. Questions.
Let's do it.
Are there any rules that we have in Olathe North that are not in either the student handbook nor the code of conduct?
I think if there's any stuff that maybe we don't have written specifically in these handbooks, it's more on the idea of safety, security, and then ultimately moral decision making, ultimately. But can I sit here and say this rule is not written somewhere in one of these handbooks that we just have in general? And to be perfectly honest with you, I wouldn't know what they would be unless students brought them to me. So ultimately, like I'm saying, is most of them are going to be concerns for safety and security.
So we know what's in the book, but the enforcement isn't when you enter the school.
Go ahead and ask that question again.
So when are these rules enforced? Are they done during the instructional period from 3 to 8, or 8 to 3, sorry?
Yeah, you're fine.
Or when we're going to school, or to when we're going home, or when kind of are these rules being enforced?
So right now we're enforcing all of our dress code stuff. We are dealing with it from 8 to 3. So here's the deal. In the wintertime, you guys are going to come walking into school. Students, they're going to have their hoods on. Yeah. I don't need people enforcing that rule the minute you step in the door. You know what I mean? Give the kids a chance to kind of get through the day. Kids wearing hats, all of those types of things. Again, all I'm asking is that some of the dress code violations kind of go with a style, and a style is a social thing. So kids are social outside of the school day. You're exactly right. You're referring to local parentis, which means the school students fall under the school umbrella of all of our policies and rules from the minute you walk out your door at your house to go to the bus, to get in your car on the way to school.
So why is it that we can't wear hats but sunglasses are okay?
Glasses is what you're referring to, and
yes.
As we mentioned before, a lot of things that obscure the view for us to be able to tell identity of students, it just hasn't been a big issue. I think our students are mature enough when they come in the building that they'll pull them off for the most case, or at least roll them up onto their head. So we haven't had a major issue or problem with it here. If it were to become an issue, it would be something that we definitely would talk about. But at this point, you're right. Could that obscure the view or the look of a student, and for us to be able to identify? Possibly. But right now, in this case, it hasn't been something that has been brought to our attention at a high level. So we haven't really pursued it in our specific terms of our handbook.
Also, so when are these rules kind of enforced? Are they done during the instructional period, or I know you guys are legally supposed to take care of us from... Fun fact, sunglasses are allowed, but only until they become a problem. Skating is more popular than ever before, but what's a kid to do if his local skate park is falling apart? Junior has this review and editorial about our local skate park at Two Trails.
Two Trails could be the worst skate park around. The park hasn't gotten any attention for years. There's constantly taggers who come up and spray paint the park, and the concrete on ramps and other obstacles at the park are starting to break.
Two Trails could use a facelift. This is Junior from Eagles Perch.
You look nice today.
Thank you. Next up, Jay with Eagle Sports News.
Hey Eagles, fall sports are happening right now. This end of the season is looking good. The football team is off to a good start with games against Olathe East and Shawnee Mission North, winning both by a good margin. Going into next week, game against Shawnee Mission West with a record of 2-0. I recently had a chance to talk to Arlen about the rest of the season.
New season, new Eagles, same goal. I talked to Arlen about this upcoming season.
I feel like we're a very underrated team, and they don't know what we're capable of. We mainly had the same starters from last year, but just a few different players.
Then we talked about game day rituals.
Up 6:30, I eat a big breakfast. I brush my teeth and I read.
After I can't get over those.
Ready for the big season? This is Jay from E News. Go Eagles!
And then there was a couple of good stops.
American football isn't the only football Eagles play. Leo talked to Mr. Price, our AD, about our soccer team's prospect.
Soccer team record is 1-1 so far, and we sat down with Mr. Price, OD, AD, to find out how the season would go.
How you feel the soccer teams are doing so far?
So far I haven't got to see all the teams play, but did get to see the varsity and JV team play against Olathe South. Olathe South was the second best team in the state last year, and I thought our kids battled with them the whole time. It was a neck-and-neck game at one point 0-0, then it was 1-1. Ultimately we lost, but when they can compete with the best in the state, that's a good sign.
What do you expect from the soccer teams this year?
There's definitely some senior leadership that graduated last year, so reality is I just expect some of our younger kids to step up, which they're already starting to do, and ultimately my expectation of all of our programs is that they're going to go out and work hard every single day at practice and compete on the field day in and day out.
He's got great expectations on the field and in the leadership outside the field. This is Leo for Eagle Sport News.
Finally, we looked at the big boys. That's right, I'm talking about the NFL, and Braden has some predictions.
The NFL is in full swing as the Falcons visit the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday night. I will be having my predictions for the season, who will be overrated, who will be the underdogs, and who will be watching the playoffs from their couch. The Super Bowl will be held in New Orleans, Louisiana, home of the New Orleans Saints. In the AFC North, it has never been a close race, but that will change this season, with the Steelers in first place at 11-5-1. And the Ravens will come in second at 9-7, the Browns at 5-11, and the Bengals at 4-12. The West will be a close race this year between the Broncos and Chiefs, and the Chargers and Raiders won't play a factor. The Chiefs will take home the first place prize at 11-5, and Denver trailing right behind them at 10-6. The AFC South will be tight, with the Texans gaining some firepower with Terrain LeMahieu, but still not enough for the Texans, while the Jaguars scoot on by with a finishing record of 9-7. The AFC East I don't even need to talk about, because it'll be all Patriots at 12-4, and the Dolphins not even close in second place at 9-7.
That's all for today. Come to the game. See you next week.